Loved ones, it's mid-April. This is the wrap-up video for all of my management classes. I teach 4 this semester, 2 sections of 4234, 1 section of 3130, and 1 section of 4236. So this is a wrap-up video for all of you. It has a lot of content that's time critical, things that are important insights about us finishing the semester together. And whether this surprises you or not, there's going to be an attendance question at the end. I need to verify that you have indeed watched this. Before I get started, though, something has happened in the last couple of days which is really pretty exciting. Disney reached out. Their film production people reached out, and they've expressed an interest in me having a voiceover role in Frozen 3. I have no idea when it's going to be released or when I'll be recording or anything else. But apparently this is something that came from me having a presence on YouTube. I don't really know how they found me or reached me or why they think I could add value. But I'm going to be the voiceover for Dork the Caribou. Pretty important role. But the neat thing is, these people paid $10 an hour. I wish the university did. So let's jump into the stuff that we have to do together. Again, a lot of content, several pages worth of notes. I'm really sincere. If you are not prepared to take notes, you need to pause the video and get some paper and a writing instrument. Because again, a lot of content, and I don't want you to have to try to remember this. Our little brains are meant to think, not meant to store things. So going forward, of course, we are perhaps 2 weeks away or 2.5 weeks away from wrapping up the spring 20 semester. You know this because it's been a system-wide announcement. All summer courses are going to be online. I was scheduled to teach 2 face-to-face in B-term. My 2 courses are being converted to an online format, and I will rise to the occasion. We also believe wholeheartedly that when fall comes, when August of 20 comes, we'll be back on campus like standard, ordinary American people. We will be doing face-to-face, interacting with each other. You'll be part of this community again, and we will all be happy for that. I want to make several observations before I talk about specifics in each of the classes, and these are all things that I guess are attributable to this disruption, this forced move to online learning. And again, these are just observations. I'll get to the specific important stuff in a moment. The first thing I would say to you is there are 2 things that I miss dramatically. I'm a man who values schedules. I like routines. My life has a rhythm. Work, exercise, family, faith, rifle range, whatever the things are that make up this rhythm to my life. And I miss the routine. I do. I also miss our interactions, very much so. And I don't just mean in a classroom. I think there's a richness that goes with a face-to-face teaching environment, which is the reason for 28 years that I've refused to teach online. I do it now because I must, and I'll do it as well as I can. But teaching face-to-face is vastly better. But I miss you in terms of interactions. I miss you in the classroom. I miss you in my office. I miss you in the hallways. I miss you at the daily grind. I am not wired to talk to a small machine that's staring back at me, and it's inanimate and inert. I'm also unaccustomed to sitting while I'm teaching. Not my deal. I don't go wild. I don't climb over furniture, but I am mobile in a classroom. I like to move around for a whole lot of reasons. But I'm almost constrained to sit, whether it's in a classroom setting or a conference room or here, simply because of the field of view of the camera. If I get all rowdy and active, then you'll hear my voice, but I won't be able to deliver the information that I want to. I'm also really, really, really distressed. I'm going to miss prom this year. Yes, I had a date and everything. My wife was going to go. She went to Scott's Frills and got a new dress. And I have formal wear. Most adult men have formal wear. There are 2 things that are really huge and unexpected benefits. Y'all, I'm scoring the best parking spaces you can imagine, right by the building, right by the dean. I look over and go, nah, 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 nah. No, I don't, because I don't even talk to him. But great parking spaces, and all those Lime scooters have gone back to China. Yes, thank you, Lord. No more kids doing stupid stuff on Lime scooters. About maybe 2 weeks after the university shut down, Lime suspended operations here. They had a little shop out on Fair Road. Doors are locked, Scooters are gone, support vehicles are gone. They've gone back to China, Wuhan or Beijing or wherever they came from, and I'm glad. So, no Lime scooters on campus. Another thing that's proved to be an enormous benefit, you know, because you paid attention to these videos, that Norton has more blasters than all of Starfleet combined. And I'm not a collector, I'm a shooter. I shoot as often and as much as I can. And this is the only time in my memory that I have no guns that need cleaning. I shoot, I clean, I shoot, I clean. They don't have to wait. Because I don't have 45 hours a week in the Parker College of Business. So, the last thing I want to talk about from an observation perspective before I get into the specifics about our coursework is just a hail and farewell to those of you that are spring 20 grads. I will keenly miss you. I will. I deeply regret that we've had this tearing, this separation, that you were scattered all over the country and I don't have a chance to celebrate what you're doing, to support you, to help you in any meaningful way. And it's likely too, if you graduate in May and you're gone, that I will have limited or no interactions with you. So all I can say from my heart is every good wish. I miss you and I wish you the best in everything that you do. You are part of my treasure here. You are. The last thing I would say on that note is I would invite you, as I have in other contexts like our Career Days module, to use me as a resource. If I can help you in any way, you know I'll be glad to. So please, if I can, reach out. So now I want to talk about specific things to our coursework. And again, this video is meant to embrace all of my 4 courses. So let me start in no particular order. I'm going to speak to my students in Management 4234, the Intermediate Entrepreneurship course. Session 32, if you were looking at the syllabus, that would have been our last day of class. That has been canceled. When the university altered the duration of spring break, it chopped a week off of our FaceTime. So I'm chopping off 2 classes. I'm chopping off session 32, which would have been an open forum discussion, and I'm chopping off session 33, which would have been your final. I made a decision weeks ago that the capstone project that you're doing, the business plan critique, is sufficient to demonstrate your understanding of the concepts of this course. So you have no final exam, and I'm simply going to reweight the grades. You know, in the past it was going to be scaled at 1,000 points, and now it'll be scaled on 900. All graded exercises for you, critical thinking exercises and midterms, are up on Folio, and all interactive sessions, which would have taken the place of things like our class meetings, are also up on YouTube. So as we go forward, the only thing you have to do is finish the business plan critique, assuming that you've done the other stuff that's up there. I don't remember the due dates of the final midterm and the final critical thinking exercise, but everything that's great is up on Folio, with the exception of your business plan critique, and that has been in your capable hands for several weeks. Management 4236, you are my capstone kids. You are the ones who have wrapped up this emphasis in entrepreneurship and innovation. Again, Gnats. Session 32 has been canceled. That would have been our last day of class, an open forum discussion, because of the shortened spring semester. And session 33 is canceled. That would have been your final exam, but I made a decision a couple of weeks back that by virtue of your business plan, the fact that that is such a significant undertaking and that this is a capstone class, that supplants, that takes the place of your final exam. And once again, I will reweight the course grade, recognizing that we're dumping the final from it. There are no graded exercises or interactive discussions that will be posted on Folio or YouTube going forward. The only thing that you need to do is pay attention to the syllabus, go to Dropbox when your drafts are due. I don't remember how many remain. I know for sure and for certain that you have not yet done it's not due, the draft of the business plan in its entirety, and then of course there's the final plan. So no more tests, no nothing except for you to concentrate and push that business plan across the finish line. Management 3130, Principles of Management. I love you. All graded exercises, all of them, are up on Folio, the midterm exams and the critical thinking exercise. 32 is canceled, that would have been our last day of class. 33 is the final exam. There won't be any kind of a video presentation, but I expect on that day that you will complete the final exam. I put a video with instructions for the final exam as well as a demonstration up on the YouTube channel on the 1st of April. So it's been up there for 15 days already. So if you haven't had a chance to get to it, I invite you to. Your final exam has 2 questions. They are non-traditional, they are intensely personal, but they will be graded. And they'll be graded based on the quality and the strength of your message, the way you communicate to me. So, new topic, graded assignments. This speaks to everybody. I'm not speaking about any one class or section now. Everything that's to be graded is up on Folio. All exams, all critical thinking exercises. Many have been submitted, but quite a few haven't. Now, not everything is due yet. I was reviewing my notes today, and there's a midterm that's due on April the 23rd. That's 7 days hence. But my concern is many assignments that are due, some of them reach back as far as April the 2nd, have not been turned in and they've not been graded. Now, the reality is, this is no surprise to any of you, zeros do not average well at all. I've been patient and accommodative, and I will continue to be. This was an enormous disruption. You're all scattered all over the country. Many of you are working, even 2 jobs. Some of you are caregivers for family members. Many of you have struggles with internet and with equipment. Kids have sent me pictures of smashed laptops and how that's taken them out of the loop. So my point is, I will continue to be patient and accommodative, but the standards have not been relaxed. You're held to the same standards of performance that you would have been if we were face to face. We simply have a different delivery mechanism. Essay tests, we're still on the subject of graded assignments. The very definition of an essay test is that the answer needs to be a short essay. That's why they are called essay tests. A surprising number of you think that economizing is somehow smart, and you give me answers that are 1 sentence in duration or 2 sentences. Neither one of those answers makes the cut of an essay. And I can promise you that if you give a minimum effort on these exams, your grade will reflect that minimum effort. So essay tests are just that. Write a short essay in answer to each of the questions on all of the exams that remain. New topic, attendance verification. I have, by design, I've intended to embed an attendance verification question in every video. I have in 1 or 2 instances neglected to do that. It is simply an oversight on my part, and I apologize. Many of you are bright people, and you will toggle in and say, Dr. Norton, I watched this video, there was no question. Well, it's obvious to me that you watched the video, isn't it? Or you would otherwise not know that there was no question. So the point is, it's been my intention, and I've done it largely, to embed an attendance question. There will be one at the end of this video, in every video. Many of you have been silent. There are a surprising number of you. We are 2.5 weeks into the restart of the spring semester, have not contacted me once. Not a good strategy. Not a good strategy. So there's no value to silence here. There's also not a good strategy to let things bunch up. The moment a video is posted, the moment an assignment is due, you need to jump on it because you have so many other things that you're managing as well. You can't let this stuff stack up because you'll dig yourself into a hole. I also want to point out on this attendance verification thing that I said a moment ago in these precise words, the standards have not been relaxed. That is a message from Bill Norton to you. That's a message from the provost to the deans, from the deans to the chairs to all the faculty. We are all going to be as patient and as accommodative as we can, but the standards have not been relaxed. So the point is, in my class, you know this, there are letter grade penalties if your unexcused absences hit certain levels. 10%, these are unappealable letter grade penalties because this is baked into the university policy. If you have 10% or more unexcused absences, that is an unappealable letter grade penalty. If you have 20% or more unexcused class absences, that is an unappealable 2-letter grade penalty. So my point is, I'm keeping track of your attendance verification emails. I print a roll for every class and I check off who's toggled in, and the blank spaces are people that have not contacted me. And I fear that if you take that lightly, if you don't think that you're held to the same standards, that what might have been a B is now going to be a D or some variation of that. So please, recognize that you have significant responsibilities as we wrap up this semester. So now, my least favorite topic in the history of least favorite topics, cheating by college students. Oh dear. Never acceptable. I'm a son of a gun if I know why anybody thinks because somebody else does something that legitimizes it for me. Never been true, never will be. So we're already getting all the reports flowing in about the many and creative ways that you're cheating. Probably the one that's thematic, the one that seems to be the most common, is 5 or 6 of you ethical rats are getting together and organizing a Zoom meeting. And you all toggle in at a chosen day and time, and you work on the test collaboratively. You rat bastards. If I have any evidence of any of you cheating, you know precisely what I'm going to do. I told you this on day 1. I will give you a 0 on the task, an F in the course, and you get to do whatever you want in terms of grade appeals. Good luck. I won't tolerate it, not now, not under any circumstances. I have to have evidence. I won't do this based on gossip or hearsay or speculation. But if I have evidence, I'll come down on you like the hammer of Thor. I want to point out something too, which I've said in the past, but sadly, since we already know about these rampant cheating events, I want to make a prediction. Those of you to whom I'm speaking directly, those of you that have already done this, you sad and pathetic people, here's what's going to happen. If you get away with it here, you will be somewhat satisfied. You'll think, got it, snuck by, cheated, nobody caught me. Because you have a predisposition, a bias towards behaving unethically. And there will be justice. Justice is biblically defined as us getting what we deserve. Mercy is when we don't get what we deserve, and grace is when we get what we don't deserve. That's simply a biblical perspective. So here's the point on justice. If you get away with it here, you foolishly, wrongfully, are going to think that you're going to get away with it in other places. But here's what happens when you go join an organization. If you are that sort of rat that I'm talking about, you will see an opportunity to behave opportunistically, and you will take advantage of it, and you will be caught. Because something that most of you don't yet know, here's something I've known because I'm a recovering CPA. Everybody in the world who is greedy is also stupid. Everybody that thinks they're going to get away with something is just uninformed. What they don't realize is that there are interrelationships everywhere. Everywhere. Here's a useful story. I had a client when I was practicing in Atlanta that came to me and said, I have an opportunity to buy a laundromat fairly close to Emory. The guy showed me the results, the sales, and he said, this place seems to be jamming. And I said, really? Okay. And my client said, is there any way we can verify that? And I said, we certainly can. So the client gave me the service address. I made 3 phone calls because this was before the internet existed. Yes, I started practicing right after the Earth's crust cooled. Used to go to work on my pet dinosaur. His name was Bronco. I got my learners on him, and then I kept him for a lot of years after that. I made 3 phone calls. One to Georgia Power for electricity, one to Atlanta Gas Light for gas, and one to whomever the water provider was. And I said, for the last 12 months, can you give me the utility consumption in gallons, kilowatts, or whatever the metric is for gas, probably PTUs. Give me the power consumption of the service address for each of the last 12 months. And they said, heck yeah, that information's in the public domain. So I got this information. Then I made 2 more phone calls, one to General Electric, because they made the big commercial dryers, and I called whoever made the washing machines. They are not the sorts of things you'd have in our homes or apartments. They're commercial grade washer extractors. But I said to these two manufacturers, how many kilowatt hours, BTUs of gas, whatever, would your machine use in one cycle? Okay, not the smartest kid on the block, but I can think critically. So now I had the utilities consumption an entire year, and I knew how much these machines could run. So I divided the utility consumption by the unit consumption, and I could tell you how many cycles the dryers ran and how many cycles the washers ran, couldn't I? So then, if you take that and you expand it, let's say we have 1 trillion cycles and it's a quarter a cycle. Doesn't it mean that our revenue would be 1/4 trillion a year? You see how easy it is? There are interrelationships everywhere. Well, what this guy was doing, the seller, he actually agreed with the buyer that they would meet twice in a week and they would rob the machines together. He, the seller, gave the buyer his keys, a special key for the lock boxes on the washers and the dryers. So she knew that she had the only access to it. So she went there twice in the next week. They pulled out all the stuff, counted coins, and she thought this was a big rainbow, pot of gold at the end. What this guy was doing, once we were able to disprove his revenue assertions, is we found that he was going in there and stuffing quarters into the machines to pump up the revenue. Because everybody that's greedy is also stupid. And the lesson, the reason I told you that long story, is I want you to understand, if you think you're going to get away with crap in a business environment, you are not. Everything you do has something that's evidential, something else that wiggles with it. So if you cheat, and you will, because you're an unethical rat, if you cheat, you will get caught, you will be fired, and if it involves money, you will be prosecuted. Oh dear. Bracelets, stripes, and a whole lot of new boyfriends. Yeah. That's the future you're buying yourself. You know my thoughts on cheating. I wish I could crush it out, but I know I can't. If you put the effort into hard work that you put into cheating, you'd be remarkable, but you're not wired that way. If I have anything evidential, you will be held accountable. If I don't, you get to skip out, but you will destroy yourself quickly. That is for sure and for certain. Great book, new topic. My priorities, as we've done this really compressed lift from face-to-face to an online platform, my priorities have been, understandably, and I think I said this at some earlier point in some of the updates that I posted on Folio. My priorities were first getting content up on the web, getting the graded exercises in a format that you could manage and manipulate and submit. And I've largely accomplished that. I may have some cleanup to do, but not much. Recognizing that, and I said, Gradebook is incomplete. I'll get there. I'll make it better. Well, I've spent some time with Gradebook this week, and I've decided that Gradebook is incapable of being made better. Here's the reason I say that. Many of the classes that I teach, I will take an exercise, whether standalone or summed, like say 3 midterms, and I will weight them. It's fairly common for me, fairly common, not universally true, to assign 3 midterm exams for any given class, and you know that the max score you could get would be $100 on each one of them. So the max score you get, the max raw score would be 300 points. So I know I said bucks, I did that purposefully. So the point is, I literally want your 3 midterms to represent 50% of your course grade. That is my objective in evaluating you. So what I do, the way I get from 300 to 500, pretty easy math. You take 300 and you multiply it by 1.67, and you get to 500. That's how weighting works. Well, the problem is, in Gradebook, I can't show you the raw score. I have to take the weighted score and break it down into each of the component pieces, so you look at Gradebook and you get a false read. I tested this earlier today in one of my classes. I put in a dummy student, and the dummy student in this example that I'm talking about got a 51 on an exam. The raw score was a 51, which is way, it's below an F. It'd be like an M or an N, wouldn't it? 51 on a raw score. If you multiply that by the 167, the way it would post in gradebook is an 85. And you think, golly, I'm crushing it. Strong B. No, bad F. So my point is, by virtue of the design of gradebook, I have to put in the weight on each of the score. I can't just put the raw score and then sum them and weight them. You, the reader, get bad intel. I'm not going to put you in that situation. The second thing that's true, the reason I'm not going to do anything with gradebook, is every time I grade anything that you put into Dropbox, you get feedback in real time. I will say max points or 0 because you neglected to do this, or you got a 75 for these reasons. Every single time I grade any exercise, in real time, I publish privately, just to you, my feedback. That is absolutely identical to us showing up in a classroom and me handing back a Scantron or a graded paper or anything like that. So my point is, gradebook is bogus by design. I'm not going to invest the effort to literally put something together that's nuts. I'm going to continue to maintain your grades on an Excel spreadsheet. Anytime you ever wish, I will give you a breakdown. I'll give you a recap of the grades. But my point is that the design of gradebook, I believe, is deeply flawed because it forces me to weight the individual exercise, which takes them out of the normal grading scale. If you think about my example, you earned a 51, but in gradebook it looks like an 85. Oh dear. Oh dear. It's not a B, it's an F. So between that flawed interpretation and the fact that you get real-time feedback every time I grade everything, which is absolutely equivalent to me giving you back a hard copy paper in class, I'm not going to touch gradebook for the rest of the semester, and I'll never use it going forward. So gradebook is in place, it's incomplete, and I'm going to leave it that way for the two reasons that I just described. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the COVID-19 thing. I think there's some useful stuff to share because that has so disrupted the life of this magnificent nation of ours. You know this because you're bright people. The coronavirus is just that. It is a viral infection. There are no medicines for it, period, end of discussion. Just like influenza, just like the flu. If a virus attacks your body's immune system has to defeat it. The only thing that can ever be done for somebody that's coronavirus is if advanced and it gets in the lungs, they can be given oxygen. They can be put on a ventilator, respirator, whatever the correct treatment modality is. But the point is, the thing that will crush this vaccine going forward, there won't be any treatments once you get ill ever, because it's a viral infection. What we are hopeful is soon there will be a vaccine. And I want to point something out that I said to you in class, in every class that I teach this spring, before we broke for the spring break. I said to you, CDC named this viral strain COVID-19. It is the 19th identified strain of the coronavirus. This is nothing new. If you pick up a bottle of Lysol aerosol in any store and look on the back, it'll say, this kills coronavirus. This stuff is not new. It's a different strain. It tends to attack the respiratory system of people who have weak immune systems or autoimmune disorders, and there is no treatment for it. So going forward, smart people smarter than I will develop vaccines, just like I get a flu shot and a single shot, shingles shot and a pneumonia shot. We'll have that going forward. I want to, I'm not going to preach to you. I don't do that. I never have. You know that faith guides much of what I do. I don't know God's plan for me, but I'm virtually certain that he doesn't intend for me to touch my face and fall over dead. I don't see that happening. When it's my time, I'll go. But God has carried me through things that are considerably riskier than the coronavirus. He has a plan for me. I just don't know what it is. But as long as he keeps me here, I will try to do his will. I will try to represent him to you. I'm deeply flawed, and I know it and you know it, but I also know what guides me. So I want to point out, though, that faith takes the place of fear. I'm not the least bit concerned about the coronavirus. There's no reason for me to be. Faith takes the place of fear. There is a folk saying, you've probably heard it. If you haven't, I think it'll be intuitively obvious. The saying goes like this: if you're holding a hammer, everything looks like a nail. The reason I think that folk saying has value here is the people who are advising the federal government on our nation's response to the coronavirus are people who are physicians who specialize in infectious diseases. Dr. Fauci and other people like him. Infectious disease doctors would want all of us to go dig a hole and live in it until all the diseases known to man are gone away. That isn't life. We are social animals. We are embedded in organizations. We need to do commerce. We need to support each other. Hospitals, food, transportation, telecommunications, the generation of electricity, the growing of food. We cannot and will not live in isolation. Fauci, or whatever his name is, said, when the virus is over, we're not going to shake hands. You can blow that out your tailpipe, Fauci. I'll be hugging people and shaking hands often as soon as we are satisfied that the crisis has passed. But the point I'm making is, if you're holding a hammer, everything looks like a nail. You have that blind reaction. If you're an infectious disease physician and you see a viral infection, you want to shut down the nation. You don't have any sense for the balance, the health of the economy, the 10 million people that are out of work, the businesses that are destroyed and will never recover. The impact on this nation has been stunning. And the thing that frustrates me enormously is every decision for closure, absolutely every decision for closure, from boards of educations to mayors to governors to county commissions to the president's office, absolutely every decision for closure has either come from a government employee or a politician. I can't conceive of any two classes of people who are more inept at making any decision other than, what should I have for lunch today? Neither politicians nor government employees have any sense for performance, for standards of achievement. None of them have any sense of accountability. And yet these are the people that have shut down entire industries. Government employees and politicians. Oh dear, we will prevail. We are an extraordinarily resilient nation. We are unlike any other nation in the history of nations. That is true. That is not my ethnocentrism. That is true, because the United States is the only nation in the history of nations that has been founded on an ideal, and that ideal is liberty. Liberty and justice for all. We weren't founded because of borders. We weren't founded because of a shared language, a shared culture. This nation was founded on an ideal: liberty. We are remarkable like no other nation in the history of nations are. We will prevail. So, I love you. Please finish this semester well. Push everything across the finish line. Patient and accommodative it's not even remotely equivalent to lowering the standards. Please remember that. So, my question, the attendance verification question, is my Disney gig. For what character will I be doing voiceover in Frozen 3? All right, love you. We're done. Reach out to me if I can help you in any way.